Honey, pour a third glass of wine, make it a heavy pour, because the level of petty I am about to unleash on you is going to feed your soul for weeks. You know how they say revenge is a dish best served cold? Well, in my experience, revenge is best served with a side of truffle mashed potatoes, a $500 wine pairing, and a look on your aunt's face that says she just swallowed a whole lemon. If you had asked me 2 years ago, I would have told you that Thanksgiving was my Super Bowl. I'm Elena, I'm 32, and for the last decade, I was the martyr of the holiday season. I'm talking about the girl who wakes up at 4 a.m. to brine the bird, the girl who spends 3 weeks cross referencing dietary restrictions so that my vegan cousin, my keto uncle, and my gluten intolerant sister all have 5 different side dish options. I loved it, or I thought I loved it. I loved the idea of it, the warmth, the family gathering, the Gilmore Girls fantasy of it all. But let me tell you, fantasies have a funny way of shattering when you realize you're the only one keeping the illusion alive. It all started last year. The incident. That's what I call it now. The day my family decided that my love language, acts of service, was actually just a hilarious joke for them to bond over. It began with a group chat notification. My mother, bless her passive aggressive heart, sent out the usual mass text. Thanksgiving at Elena's 4 p.m. sharp, standard procedure. Usually, this is where the hearts and can't wait texts roll in. But this time, my Aunt Patty, who hasn't cooked a meal since 1998, replied, "Oh, we'll be there. Better bring your A game, Elena. I hear this year is going to be theatrical." Then my sister Sarah replied with a string of laughing emojis and a gif of a woman running around with her hair on fire. I stared at my phone. My stomach did that little flip-flop thing. You know that gut instinct that tells you something is shady? I ignored it. I told myself, Elena, stop being paranoid. They're just excited. Honey, they were not excited for the turkey. They were excited for the roast, and I was the main course. I threw myself into prep mode. I needed this to be flawless. If I made the stuffing from scratch using artisan bread, if I made 3 different types of pie, maybe they'd appreciate me. Maybe they'd see the effort. I was marinating, chopping, cleaning baseboards with a toothbrush. I was a woman possessed. 2 days before the big day, I went over to my parents' house to drop off some extra folding chairs because, God forbid, anyone has to stand at my house. I let myself in the back door. The kitchen was empty, but I heard voices coming from the living room. It was my mom, Aunt Patty, and Sarah. They were on speakerphone with my cousin Mike. They didn't hear me walk in. Oh my God, is she actually making place cards again? Sarah's voice was dripping with venom. It's so embarrassing. She acts like she's running a Michelin star restaurant, not a family dinner. My Aunt Patty laughed, that distinct smoker's cackle. It's about control, sweetie. Elena needs to feel important. That's why we need to do this. It's an intervention. We need to humble her. Humble her. I froze. I was standing there holding 4 metal folding chairs, and I felt like I'd been punched in the throat. Mike's voice crackled over the phone. Are we really doing the sash? Isn't that a bit much? No, my mom insisted. She needs to loosen up. If we make a joke out of it, she'll see how ridiculous she looks. We're doing the ceremony right before carving. It'll be hilarious. I quietly set the chairs down in the mudroom and walked out. I sat in my car in their driveway for 20 minutes, just shaking. My hands were vibrating on the steering wheel. They weren't just ungrateful, they were actively plotting against me. They viewed my hard work, my love, my sleepless nights as a character flaw, a control issue. I drove home in silence. I didn't cry. I think I was too shocked to cry. I walked into my kitchen, which smelled like sage and brown butter, and it felt like a graveyard. All these ingredients, all this prep for people who were planning to humiliate me. I almost canceled right then. I almost texted them and said, dinner's off, figure it out. But then a darker, pettier thought crossed my mind. If I canceled, they'd win. They'd say, see, She's so dramatic. She can't handle stress. No, I would host. I would verify their cruelty, and then I would react. Thanksgiving Day arrived. I was a robot. Usually I have Motown playing. I'm sipping a mimosa. I'm dancing with the dog. This year, silence. I cooked with surgical precision. By 3 p.m., the guests started arriving. Aunt Patty walked in first, holding a bottle of cheap wine that she probably bought at a gas station. She looked around my pristine living room and smirked. Wow, Elena, did you hire a cleaning crew, or did you just not sleep for 3 days? I managed, I said, my voice flat. Well, don't burn out before the main event, Sarah whispered, nudging Patty. They giggled, like schoolgirls, like mean girls in a cafeteria. We sat down for dinner. The table was gorgeous, Getty images. I had done the centerpieces myself. The turkey was golden brown, looking like it belonged on the cover of Bon Appetit. My dad stood up to say grace. We thank you for this food and for Elena's intense efforts to get us here. A ripple of snickering went around the table. I gripped my carving knife under the table. Just breathe, Elena. Then the moment came. Just as I stood up to carve the bird, Sarah clinked her glass. Attention, everyone, she chirped, standing up. Before we eat, we have a special presentation for our hostess. My stomach dropped to my feet. This was it. Mike and another cousin pulled a box out from under the buffet table. Sarah opened it and pulled out a cheap plastic hot pink sash and a Burger King-style cardboard crown. The sash read in glittery peeling letters, Queen of the Kitchen Nazis. The room exploded with laughter. I'm talking belly laughs. My mother was wiping tears from her eyes. Come on, put it on, Aunt Patty yelled, clapping her hands. Sarah walked over and tried to drape the sash over me. We figured since you like to boss everyone around and tell us where to sit and what to eat, we should make it official. All hail Queen Elena. Speech, speech, my uncle chanted. I stood there. I didn't put the crown on. I let the sash slide off my shoulder and fall onto the floor. The laughter died down slowly, replaced by an awkward, heavy silence. They were waiting for me to laugh. They were waiting for me to be a good sport. Is this funny to you? I asked. My voice was quiet, but it carried. Oh, come on, Elena. My mom sighed, rolling her eyes. Don't be so sensitive. It's a joke. You are a bit of a kitchen Nazi. We're just having fun. Fun, I repeated. I spent $600 on groceries. I spent 3 days prepping. I woke up at 4 a.m., and your idea of fun is calling me a Nazi in front of my entire family? God, you're ruining it, Sarah snapped, sitting back down. Just eat the turkey, Elena. I looked around the table, really looked at them. I saw my dad looking at his plate to avoid eye contact. I saw Aunt Patty smirking, waiting for me to crack. I saw the absolute lack of respect in every single pair of eyes. No, I said. I took off my apron. I folded it neatly and placed it on the chair. I'm not hungry. And I walked out. If you're already shook, hit that like button because, honey, I haven't even gotten to the petty part yet. That was just the appetizer. I went upstairs to my bedroom, locked the door, and turned on Netflix. Downstairs, I heard the confusion. Is she serious? Who's going to carve the turkey? She's such a drama queen. They ate my food. They drank my wine. And not one of them came upstairs to apologize. Not one. They left around 8 p.m. When I came downstairs, the kitchen was a war zone. Dirty dishes stacked in the sink, cranberry sauce smeared on the tablecloth, grease on the floor. They hadn't cleaned a single thing. That night, standing in the wreckage of my ungrateful family's gluttony, something in me snapped. But it wasn't a hot, fiery snap. It was a cold, calculated snap. I pulled out a notebook and I made a list. I listed every holiday I had hosted for the last 5 years: Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, Father's Day. I estimated the grocery costs, the alcohol costs, the cleaning fees, the hours of labor, billed at a private chef's rate. The total came out to roughly $25,000. That was the price of their joke. The next morning, the text started. Mom, You really embarrassed us last night. I hope you're ready to apologize before Christmas. Sarah, you acted like a toddler. It was a sash. Get over it. I didn't reply. I simply left the family group chat. Then I went on strike. December came. Usually I'm sending out invites for the Christmas Eve buffet. This year, radio silence. Around December 10th, my dad called. Elena, Mom's getting anxious. We haven't heard about the menu for Christmas. Oh, I said, feigning surprise. I'm not hosting Christmas. I thought that was clear. Since I'm such a kitchen Nazi, I decided to step down. I wouldn't want to ruin your fun. Well, who's going to do it? He demanded. I don't know, Dad. Maybe the queen of the kitchen Nazis can take a holiday. I hung up. I booked a ticket to Cabo for Christmas. Just me, a margarita, and the ocean. It was the best week of my life. My phone blew up with photos of them eating KFC on paper plates in my parents' cramped living room. But I didn't care. I was glowing. For 10 months, I was a ghost. I stopped doing favors. I stopped planning birthday parties. I focused on my career, got a promotion, started dating a guy who actually knows how to load a dishwasher, and generally live my best life. But I knew the cycle wasn't over. I knew Thanksgiving was coming. August rolled around and the testing the waters text began. Aunt Patty, thinking of you, sweetie. Hope you're not still holding a grudge. Mom, we really missed your stuffing last year. Christmas just wasn't the same. They were starving, not just for food, but for the convenience of me. They missed their servant. In September, Sarah called me. She sounded desperate. Look, Elena, Mom is stressing out. She can't cook for 20 people. Aunt Patty refuses to do it. Can you please host Thanksgiving this year? We'll be nice, no jokes, we promise. I let the silence stretch on the phone for a solid 10 seconds. You promise? I asked, my voice soft. Yes, we promise. We just want the family back together. Okay, I said, I'll do it. But since I've been so busy at work, I'm going to handle things differently. I want this to be the most memorable Thanksgiving ever. Anything you want, she said. Oh, Sarah, be careful what you wish for. I started planning, but I wasn't planning a dinner. I was planning an exit strategy. I took a chunk of my savings, money I had saved by not buying gifts or hosting parties for a year, and I hired a team. I hired a high-end catering company, the kind that does weddings for minor celebrities. I hired a cleaning crew. I hired a server. I sent out the invite, the Golden Thanksgiving, black tie optional, 5 p.m. The family was buzzing. They thought I was groveling. They thought, oh, Elena's trying to win us back. She's going over the top to prove she's good enough. Make sure you're subscribed because the update I'm about to drop is going to make you scream into a pillow. Thanksgiving Day, year 2. The house looked like Versailles. I had gold chargers on the table, crystal glassware. The caterers, a team of 3, were in the kitchen, silently preparing a 5-course meal. I was wearing a silk dress, holding a glass of champagne, looking unbothered. When the family walked in, their jaws dropped. Elena, Aunt Patty whispered, looking at the truffle risotto shooters being passed around by a server. This is excessive. Only the best for my family, I smiled. A shark's smile. Sarah hugged me. I knew you'd come through. This is amazing. We're sorry about last year, really. Don't worry about it, I said. Tonight is about new beginnings. We sat down. The meal was impeccable. Butternut squash bisque with creme fraiche, filet mignon alongside the turkey, lobster mac and cheese. It was the best food they had ever tasted. I watched them gorge themselves. I watched them drink the expensive wine. I watched them relax, thinking they had their doormat back. They laughed. They toasted to family. They toasted to me. To Elena, my dad boomed, red-faced from the Pinot Noir. The hostess with the mostest. We knew you couldn't stay away from the kitchen. I waited until dessert was cleared. The servers placed a final glass of port in front of everyone. I stood up. I tapped my glass with a spoon. Ding, ding, ding. Thank you all for coming, I began. The room went silent, respectful silence this time. I know last year was difficult, but it gave me a lot of time to think. It made me realize exactly what my role in this family is. My mom smiled, nodding encouragingly. She thought I was about to apologize. I realized, I continued, that for 10 years I have been purchasing your love with my labor. I thought if I cooked perfectly, you would respect me. But last year showed me that to you I am just the help. I am the punchline. The smile faded from my mom's face. Aunt Patty shifted in her seat. So I reached under the table and pulled out a stack of envelopes. Cream-colored, heavy linen envelopes. I decided to give you exactly what you wanted. You wanted a service provider? You got one. I passed the envelopes around the table. What is this? Sarah asked, tearing hers open. That, I said, is an invoice. Inside each envelope was a breakdown. Catered dinner tonight. $5, $200, 12 people, with $433 per person. Retrospective labor and goods, 2014-2024, $2,500 per person. Total due, $2,933. You can Venmo me, I said calmly. Is this a joke? Aunt Patty screeched, standing up. You can't charge your family for dinner. It's not just dinner, Patty, I said, my voice icy. It's a severance package because I am resigning. Resigning? My dad looked confused. Yes, this is the last meal I will ever host for you. This is the last time you will ever set foot in my house for a holiday. I wanted you to see what perfection looked like one last time so you'd know exactly what you're losing. I motioned to the head caterer who was standing by the door. The staff is now going to pack up all the leftovers. Every scrap of turkey, every slice of pie, every drop of wine. They are taking it to a local shelter. You will leave here with nothing but the taste of the best meal you'll never have again. You're insane, Sarah yelled. You're actually psycho. Maybe, I shrugged, but I'm a psycho with a clean kitchen. Get out. It was chaos. My mother was crying. Aunt Patty was threatening to sue me. For what, I don't know. My dad was just sitting there staring at the bill, but I stood my ground. I had security, well, my large boyfriend and his brother, waiting in the living room just in case. I ushered them out, one by one. Happy Thanksgiving, I said as I closed the door in Aunt Patty's face. The fallout. My phone vibrated so hard for the next 3 days I thought it was going to explode. The voicemails ranged from "How could you do this?" to "We're really worried about your mental health." They didn't pay the invoices, obviously. I didn't expect them to. The money wasn't the point. The point was the value. Update 1, 2 weeks later. Christmas is approaching, and the family is in shambles. Apparently, Aunt Patty tried to organize a potluck to replace my dinner, and it resulted in a screaming match because nobody wanted to cook the turkey. My mom called me yesterday. Elena, please, we can forget the bill. Just come to Christmas at Aunt Patty's. Bring a pie. We'll pretend it never happened. I laughed. Actually laughed. Mom, I'm spending Christmas in Aspen, and I'm not bringing a pie. I'm bringing myself. Goodbye. Final update, the karma. It's been a full year since the Golden Thanksgiving. I haven't seen most of them since that night. I maintain low contact with my parents, but I blocked Sarah and Patty everywhere. But here is the sweetest tea of all. I heard from a cousin, the nice one, that this year they went to a restaurant for Thanksgiving, Golden Corral. Apparently, they got kicked out because Aunt Patty got into a fight with the manager about the freshness of the dinner rolls. Meanwhile, I hosted a Friendsgiving last week. Everyone brought a dish. We drank cheap wine. We laughed until our stomachs hurt. Nobody wore a sash. Nobody called me a Nazi. And for the first time in my entire life, the turkey tasted like freedom. So let me ask you this. Was I too harsh for handing them a bill, or did those ungrateful mooches get exactly what they ordered? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more family drama.